Hi, Lisa.
Broadcast
Hi.
to YouTube and
Hi,
and
Teresa.
that up.
Hi, Sherry.
Tom, Bill, Jim.
Yeah, hello.
Gary.
I don't know.
Hi, Lisa.
Broadcast. Okay. So we are now broadcasting on the YouTube, and I'll call the meeting to order here at 7:07. So if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to your nearest flag. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the
To
flag
to the flag
the
of the United States of America,
and the republic for which
to
it
the
stands,
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God, indivisible, with liberty
liberty and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Okay, so I don't know that we have any public here, so we'll launch right into entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our
Oh,
June 4th meeting. That was the last time.
June 4.
Yeah, so anybody
I'll
want to
make a motion to approve the minutes of the June
approve the
4th
minutes?
meeting.
Seconded by
Jim.
I
okay.
think we ought to read them because it's been so far back.
Oh, Bill, read.
Hey, Teresa's very good at getting them right back to you. So
Absolutely. I second them.
all in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Great. Okay. Bill, why don't you fill us in on all the trail stuff that's happened since June and be as brief or long as you want.
Okay, yeah, we had Dan and Dave do the section from basically the dog park up to beyond Dean's Gate. And they did a great job, and we finally got their invoice straightened out, and they've been paid, so that's good. And we're having work parties, but as we noted today, at the last two work parties, we had 5 people show up and then 4 people show up. So with 32 miles of trails, what forget the 4 miles of the rec path, but all the others basically we're certainly maintaining. It's we can use some more bodies, so we discussed that in our meeting, and hopefully we'll figure out some ways to get some more and certainly younger bodies out compared to me.
Bill, I mean, you've probably thought of this already, but now that school's back in session, I know it's not last minute when they're looking to fill their community service hours, but perhaps that might be a younger cohort to tap into.
I got to tell you, Tom, though, we get most of those kids, you get very, very little actual work out of.
Well,
Well, but at least, in, March and April and actually May, because, oh yeah, if you'll sign this, I'll be back. But
well, another suggestion might be some scouting groups, the Boy Scouts that do their Eagle Scout Award, those leadership organizations might be ones to tap into to say, look, we could use a little hand here with some organization of some help for this weekend or that weekend. Just a thought.
No, yeah, no, I appreciate that. We're, as I say, at 82 and a half, I'm gonna be not doing too much longer. Terry and Teresa are starting to think about maybe moving to somewhere else, and so it's important.
Yeah, none of us are getting younger.
No.
Sadly.
I wonder how the state gets volunteers, if there might be something, I wonder how the state does it.
Volunteers for what?
For working on trails.
State doesn't do trails. That's
Well, the
CFPA.
Connecticut Forest, like when I get the Connecticut Park,
That's not the state. That's not the state. That's
private
a
entity.
private organization.
Well, even then, like I'm just using an analogy that other people do have to, like it comes from the Connecticut magazine, the woodlands, how you get it.
That's CFPA.
Mm.
And they go back to 1895 with their volunteers. So they've been doing it for a long time, but they also struggle to get volunteers. And, they were the Augusta Trail went for years without a trail maintainer. The northern part and the southern part, they sort of just gave up trying to get, remember we went through a couple different trail managers that weren't working out. So it's, you know, they have trouble with that as well. The only reason me and Terry are the trail managers for the north part of the Shelton Pagusset is because they couldn't find anybody and finally just like in desperation asked us if we would fill in.
There's not an organization around that you can go to and everything that's not
That's right.
lamenting the same thing. The
Right.
people just aren't joiners now.
That's right.
That's
Right.
so it's not
Video
us.
games are killing it. Right.
But as Bill has referenced, you know, we're all involved with different groups or organizations, and you know, we might hear somebody looking to get more involved with the community with an environmental bend, or a group looking to do a service project. So, you know, communicating the need is how you first start to fulfill it.
Yeah, like the litter committee that's blossomed, which was really struggling for years.
That's a good positive example. Yep. What else, Bill?
I think that's, you know, I mean, we're doing our work parties and the trails are actually in pretty good shape, but
Well, it's been like I say, it's been a very dry year and or dry summer.
oh my God.
So you haven't had the
Yeah.
tremendous blossoming of vegetation that you might normally get. So
Yeah, there was earlier though.
true.
There are some stretches I cut like 4 times.
Yeah. All right. Well, with nothing else from Bill, I'll move on to Teresa. What do you have to offer?
Yeah, I can't even remember where I left off the last meeting. It was June. For gardens, the community garden at Long Hill, I would say this has been the best year we've ever had. We got some new gardeners this year that really stepped up. And I don't think we're having a serious problem with one single plot. Everything looks really, really good this year. So that's really nice. And everybody seems to be enjoying it quite a bit. Eklund Garden, I've been spending a lot of time on this year. I don't always, but I really wanted to focus on it and bring it back up to speed a little bit with those rhododendrons I planted earlier. And with the dry weather we've had, I've been bringing in jugs of water as needed, you know, because they were all root bound and you got to do that for the first year. And I want them to take root. Next year they should need it. Birchbank, that's plant management area. Lately I've been working on the stilt grass that keeps trying to come in and it's trying to move along the trail and go up the hill. So I've been working at that, and one of our trail volunteers, the newer one, Chris Peters, he is also very interested in invasive species. So he has come out and helped with that, and also with Mylaman. He came out to there was a trails work party at Trombetta Woods to clear out that access trail, and he and his son actually found a whole nother section that had some Mylam in it off of that trail, and him and his son have gone out subsequent to that and pulled some more Mylam in it from Trombetta Woods. And I don't recall if I had let you know that I did find a house on Hickory Lane that's absolutely infested with Mylam in it. And I had sent flyers to everybody. I don't think they care. This is the same house that had cut trees that I think were partly in the state forest for a view. But what happened is this year, right along the Pagusset Trail, and this is right near where Birchbank and Indian Well come together, very, very steep, I started to notice some Mylam in it coming in right next to the hiking trail that I had never seen before. And I followed it down the hill for maybe 150 feet going down towards Indian Well Road. I went down there 3 or 4 times and picked it, because you pick it and then some more comes in. And I followed it up the hill to that house. That's how I found out it was that house. And what seems to have happened is there's a little bit of a drainage area. And I think after that big rain we had last year, the Oxford floods, I know they had at least 10 inches of rain at Birchbank. And I think some of those seeds from that house washed down the hill in that little, because it was only coming up in that little drainage area. And then a couple of weeks ago, I'm driving down Indian Well Road, and right from my car, there's a big patch of it all of a sudden just popped up out of nowhere. So I let the Park Service know about it, and I stopped and I pulled it out. And then not like a day later, I'm driving down where Meadow Street and 110 come together. I'm taking that turn there. There's a bunch more of it growing in somebody's landscaping. So I parked over at Riverview Park across the street, and it was right there by the sidewalk, and I was able to pull it out. And then I sent the homeowner a letter just to let him know with the fact sheet, and they actually called me back and were very appreciative, and had looked over the rest of their property and said they didn't have any more and they keep an eye out. So the mile a minute is definitely seems to be cropping up more and more. I don't know where else it is, but I think it's popping up more and more and will continue to do so. The spotted lanternflies, you know, everybody's seeing them now. It's a big thing. I think it's to the point where there's not much that can be done. They're here to stay. It's the new normal. The one thing I have learned is that, you know how they like the tree of heaven, Ailanthus?
Yeah.
Apparently when they ingest the juices from that tree, they ingest some sort of chemical that makes them taste bitter to birds and maybe other types of wildlife. And that gives them some sort of protection, the way that monarch caterpillars eat milkweed, and that makes them toxic. Usually when you have an insect that's very bright colored, that's sort of a warning sign that they might be toxic. And that's why the spotted lanternflies are so colorful and bold, because it's a warning. But apparently if they don't have any tree of heaven, because everybody's cut it down or there just isn't any, they no longer taste bitter, and the birds and everything start to eat them. And then their population starts to go down. And so the areas that have had the infestations for a while, they say first they have this big, you know, spike in the population when it first comes through. And then after a few years, the population starts to go down. So we may just have to go through that. I don't think we're at the peak yet. I don't think that's going to happen for a couple of years, but
Like gypsy
Harry
moth.
said he was parked under a tree just today in Shelton, and he said it was like raining, and it was that honeydew that comes out of them. You know,
Yeah.
they basically pee out sugar-y stuff. And he said it was just like it was raining on his car. Ugh. Let's
Just a
see.
suggestion before you go further. Maybe with, you know, the mile a minute vine and things that are of concern that might occur broadly across the community, that might make a good article content for, you know, a Shelton Life type thing that you contribute to in the future.
Shelton Life, yeah. I think that's a good idea, Shelton. Like I have tried to do some posts on Facebook that just didn't catch on. You know, people don't click on them, then nobody sees them. That's the hard thing about Facebook.
Social media right now is not
It's just,
the broad reach that it used to be.
however, I did do one this afternoon that seems to be doing very well. So
You gotta attach the right photo to it. You did the right photo to that one, Teresa.
Yeah, well, so a couple weeks ago, I was at Birchbank. I was starting to work on the trail, and I hear this big crashing above me on the hillside. This is near the trailhead. And I look up, and there's a deer like falling down the steep hillside. He's on his back, and he's kind of rolling, he's crashing into trees. And the funny thing is, this is not the first time I've seen that happen. And the other time I've seen that happen, it also happened at Birchbank. And the first time it happened, the deer got up, and it was kind of funny because he looked a little bewildered and, you know, then saw me and kind of staggered off. But this time, you know, I got my phone out and I started to record it, and the deer kind of twitched his back leg and flicked his neck a little and then died.
Whoa.
And I think it broke its neck just right in front of me, sliding down, because wildlife has accidents. These things happen. And so I left the area because then there was a doe right above him, started walking over and kind of stamping his feet. And so I just left, but I came back in a few hours with a trail cam, put the trail cam on it. And I could send a link out to the blog post. I just put the still photos, not the video, but long story short, The first evening we had, I think it was the same doe came over and kind of went back and forth looking at the buck. And then we had a turkey vulture after like 4 days. And then on day 7, we had a bobcat come in a couple times, looked like it was maybe gonna chow down, but didn't. And then a coyote came in and then grabbed the deer and dragged it down the hill about 50 feet. You could still see it in the cam. And then the bobcat came back. In the meantime, the coyote kept coming back over the next couple days, sometimes in the middle of the day. And there was one day, I think it was the next day actually, after it dragged it, some woman with a terrier off leash. This is about 150 feet from the trail, so it's not right on the trail. Her terrier comes running up, and right where the carcass was, and it's like 8 days, so it's very, very ripe. And I think when it was dragged, it was probably spilling out some of its contents. It starts rolling in that. And the lady down below, I can actually see her in the video. She doesn't see the carcass because it's behind a big tree, and her dog is rolling in this disgusting
Oh my God.
She's calling it, the dog won't come.
Right.
So finally the dog leaves. They go for their walk. They come back an hour later. The dog comes back up there and starts going up the hill like where the coyote had gone. It's a little dog. And she finally got it out of there, but whoa.
Yeah, that's what you want to have in your back car on the ride home.
Really?
Oh my
Right.
goodness. I'm sure she had no idea and gave it a great big hug later on.
Right.
Eee.
She may not have a sense of smell.
What?
I'm just saying, my wife does not have a good sense of smell, so it could have been the same situation.
Right.
I just
Makes the
Least
case
they
for
got
keeping
in
your
the car,
dog on
maybe.
leash.
Keep your dog on a leash.
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
I shared in the chat the link to the blog.
Yeah, that picture, I just looked at it myself. That poor thing, its neck was pretty busted.
Well, if you click on the blog post, you'll see a whole bunch of other pictures.
I gotta say, Teresa, that photo of the bobcat, I can see why people think those are mountain lions with the way
Oh,
that
yeah.
animal looks.
Yep.
That looks like a cougar or something. It's
It
wild.
does. You know what was really impressive, though? The video, which I haven't shared yet, but of the coyote very easily dragging that deer.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, it must have been the deer was a buck. It did have velvet. Its antlers were in velvet, and I don't think it was a very large buck. But I've tried to move one time. There was a buck next to the trail, and I'm sure it was bigger. But I worked my butt off to move that thing 1 foot, and this coyote just grabbed this deer by the leg and pulled it 50 feet down the hill.
This spring, there was a coyote attacked my nephew's Labrador retriever up in Bethany, and he heard the commotion and he ran outside and saw the coyote on the dog, and he ran up and he strangled the coyote to death
Whoa, where
Wow.
was this?
in Bethany. Yeah, my oldest nephew.
Wow.
He heard the commotion, and the dog, he's grown up all his life. So he ran out, he got out of bed, ran out, he's in his underwear, runs out and strangles the coyote to death. He got bit, and you got to get checked for rabies, all that jazz, or shot for it.
Wow.
But I'm like, I
That's
can't
badass.
imagine strangling a coyote to death in your backyard.
Well,
So yeah.
mm.
Anyway, anything else, Teresa?
That's all I can think of.
How about the haying of our fields?
Oh,
Fill everybody in on that.
so the Clappick farm, I'm not sure where we stand with that. The mayor saw that the Clappick farm wasn't being hayed, the field out that you could see from the road. And I have been saying for the last 3 years, I've been notifying the mayor's office repeatedly, and I think I spoke to this commission as well, saying it's not getting hayed, the Russian olive's coming in. So, he said, I won't get this hayed. And of course, at this point, it's like, I don't know, mid-July or something, and it's past haying season, right? But we were able to get, what had happened is the license had been in the name of Nathaniel Wells, and he passed away. And They used to do the thing with the licensing where they had to go through and renew it every single year, and now it's on a automatic renewal for 10 years. So because of that, if something happens and they just stop paying it, nobody may notice it. You know what I mean? Whereas they like basically the wells didn't want to hay it anymore, and they just stopped haying it like without telling the city. So the Burris,
Yeah, the Burris brothers.
Burris brothers, is it John?
John,
John is one of them.
John.
John
So
and Frank.
they've been doing
One
tall
of them's
farm
not doing
across the
well,
street.
so
What?
one of them's older that is not doing very well, I don't think.
Well,
Well-
Frank's the one in the wheelchair.
Oh, Frank, yeah, Frank's the one, yeah. The farm equipment man. Yeah.
So they've
Right.
been doing tall farm, which is right across, Long Hill Ave. And so they did come in and cut a couple of the fields that had been cut within the last couple of years that could be cut. Didn't harvest the hay, just cut it, for as a favor to the mayor, basically. But the back fields have a lot of Russian olive that's, at least 10 feet tall. And he refused to cut that. And so now we're looking into Dean had somebody that was looking at maybe was going to give us a quote to pull some of that out with the equipment. Because I guess if you just cut it, the farmers won't hay it because it's got these spiky stumps that can ruin their tires.
Yep.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
we're at a point of looking into that right now. And I did meet with a potential contractor that Dean knew, and showed him the fields and so forth. And so he's going to get back to me with the quote. But the original price he said off the top of his head was going to be like $10,000 to $12,000 to cut that stuff. And that's just because the hayfield wasn't cut for a couple of years.
Is there a seasonality to dealing with that brush? Like, can it be done as a winter project?
Sure, I would think so.
That might be something, Parks and Rec or Public Works can
maybe
tend to do during the wintertime.
Yeah.
It just takes a small digger and,
And there's really two parts to it. The first is the stuff that's grown in the middle, that's stuff that came up. But the other thing is stuff that, how it keeps coming in from the edges.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother project. And, maybe that's something that maybe there's like farm grants or something. I don't know.
I believe the Land Trust to remove some of their similar type of things, they had a land improvement grant to
Yeah.
do that. So
Yeah.
it's worth looking into.
Right.
If you can show to the mayor that, hey, we're getting a grant to do the cost share for Parks and Rec activity for the wintertime, it might be a win-win for everybody.
Well, the mayor, I understand the mayor does want to, bring them back so they can be hayed. But, when it comes down to, how much money do you want to spend to do that? I'm not sure. If
I will say,
fully understands.
obviously the meeting's being recorded, but there are several fields that we've had hayed here at the farm by Sam Stern, which are not being hayed for feedstock anymore. He gets it he doesn't need it, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, I think the mayor was under the impression that there were all these farmers that were just banging on the door waiting to come and cut our hay. And of course it's late July, so it's already, the hay had really no value.
If it was like Timothy hay for feeding horses, sure. That's a big demand for that. But
if it was earlier in the season and and there's things they have to do to the hay field and, I guess, spraying broadleaf killer to some extent. I don't know if they do that every year, but there's a lot of broadleaf coming, the horse nettles and stuff like that.
If you take care of the field, harvesting it regularly, you won't have those issues really prop up in prominence.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Was there any there was a violation that I discovered that I brought to your attention, but I don't think that's really something we need to talk about yet. Remember the pond with the clearing in front of it over near Bowen Pond?
Bone Pond, or wasn't it a different pond?
A different pond, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that was,
had
yeah,
some-
yeah, that was a long-standing thing.
Okay, nothing else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. We don't have any applications through planning and zoning that have made any requests to us, but I have a lot on our agenda just to keep everybody updated. Um, I'll jump down because the first two are repeatedly on there month after month with no response from P and Z at the time. But 390 Shelton Avenue, there's a couple applications that were applied for that. There was a to refresh everybody's memory, there was a PDD for 16 homes, which the planning and zoning approved the initial site development plans for PDD. The next step is detailed site development plans. But in that approval, they stated that the water line and sewer line would access from Route 108. So that the open space dedication from the Aspetuck Village Development would not be violated to access a water line. And some homeowners in that area filed a lawsuit over the approval. So that application / approval is currently in limbo. That's for the 15 homes as a PDD.
Couple of years.
Then after that, there was a subsequent application for the same parcel for 56 units. It's a 5.42 acre zone, and it was utilizing the 830G statute for affordable housing. They had a public hearing, and during that public hearing, it showed on the drawings that they reverted back to having the line for water and sewer accessing through Aspetuck and accessing through the dedicated city open space. So the end of that is that at their last meeting, they denied that application without prejudice. They did not
Well,
state any reasons for public health and safety of why they were denying it. But mainly, they were concerned they were denying it because there was a lawsuit over a prior application on the same parcel. I don't know if that's
well,
an adequate
certainly the
reason for
mayor would
denial,
fight
but
that.
I'm sorry, say again, Bill?
Certainly the mayor would fight any 5G application in the middle of a residential area, right?
Um, well, the mayor is a co-signer to the application for the 830G. So no, he
Oh
would
my
not fight it.
God. That's not possible.
He's
Oh,
he's technically not the applicant, but he is the owner of the property who has to sign the application for such development method.
sad.
Uh,
Very sad.
It's unfortunate. But be that as it may, I find the unfortunate thing is that the same entity that applied for the 16 homes under the PDD and agreed that they would bring the water line up to 108 and the sewer line up to 108 is in the next breath saying, no, we're not going to do that. So that's from a conservation perspective, that should be our concern about the access through dedicated city open space to facilitate a water line connection. The homeowners for Aspetuck with the sewer, that's their thing. But I think as far as the Conservation Commission is concerned, it's really the violation of a dedicated city open space that's supposed to be kept in a natural state.
Agreed.
To facilitate a development which could easily be accomplished with connecting to the water line that exists on 108. So that's that on that. I'll move over to 48 Long Hill Crossroads. That's the property that was moonscaped by Crown Point Associates. There was a stop work order placed by the zoning enforcement officer. And then there was a concern that the state right-of-way that fronts Bridgeport Avenue had not been actually purchased by the applicant, Crown Point, and the city has a right of first refusal, which the mayor put a request into planning and zoning to get an 824 referral from them that it was appropriate for the city to acquire it. And planning and zoning approved that. it's a little bit, in my eyes, strange that they approved acquiring the parcel on the very same night that they approved the site's initial site development plans for the PDD. I don't know how you can approve an application that says it's going to have crossings over a piece of property and such in the same breath, literally, that you're saying we're going to acquire this piece of property from the state that the application is utilizing to access the development. But in the planning and zoning meeting, when they approved that 824 referral, there was not one peep, question, comment from any commissioner when they said, yes, the city should buy that sliver of property.
Why?
I don't know why they didn't speak up. I don't know why they didn't ask any questions.
Why would they buy the property?
Yeah.
Well,
Why would the
If
city,
you-
what interest would the city have in the property?
that question was asked by Alderman Simonetti during a subsequent Board of Aldermen meeting when the Board of Aldermen were first confronted with this proposal. And the mayor said so that they have control over the site. I would not want to be the city's attorney if they got sued over that statement. But that's, here nor there, because this month, the mayor put a request into the planning and zoning to give an 824 referral to sell the property
Yeah.
to Crown Point. And so that will come up on the next Board of Aldermen agenda. I think it's on the 11th or 12th of September. So it's a little ambiguous as to why they're doing that. I don't know what control you get out of it. That's beyond what the planning and zoning should be reviewing and approving. But I'll say it publicly. I think that's an abuse of the 824 process of acquiring property. I'm no fan of that particular developer because of the way that they treated that property without their approvals. But that being said, there is a process that if you're going to economically develop a property and you get the approvals to do so, to have the municipality come in through a backdoor method to hold you up is not appropriate structurally, in my opinion. But so there is a sewer line that is to be relocated on that parcel from the Hawks Ridge development. It goes down towards the pumping station that's on Bridgeport Avenue. They had to relocate it further uphill to facilitate the development's proposal. And so the stop work order has been lifted for that portion of the site's development. And that was several weeks ago. And that said, there has not been any equipment on the site at all since the stop work order occurred. So there's been kind of a pause on any activity on the site despite their ability to move forward with the relocation of the sewer line. And that relocation of the sewer line was also approved by the WPCA, Water Pollution Control Authority, but the WPCA has not yet approved the overall development applications connection to the sewer system. So there's still a lot to occur on that development proposal. Then there was a zoning regs amendment for an affordable age-restricted residential development that would allow some denser use of property in the city, and that was denied by planning and zoning. There was an affordable housing application on Armstrong Road that was near the Cranberry Bog. And that was withdrawn by the applicant. I brought to their attention that when you are within a certain proximity of your municipal boundary, you have to inform the planning agency of that municipality. The applicant had reached out to the Valley COG, which would have had no real bearing on this, but they had not reached out to I'm going to screw it up, but I think it's the Metropolitan Council of Governments that covers Stratford, Bridgeport, and I think Milford. But they had not been reached out to provide commentary on this application, which there's a lot of impervious surface, which would naturally impact the adjacent bog. So, in any regards, the applicant withdrew their application. Let's see. I think that's really it. I mean, since our last meeting, that design residential development off of Constitution Boulevard and near Weebosset, that was approved. That was 20 units. That was being done by Prestige Development. And I believe they've already done some site work there. I haven't driven by it, but I see some Facebook posts by people in the community upset by all the trees being gone. So, but that's about it for development applications that I can think of at the moment. Nothing related to like a set aside or subdivision, and that's something that I think a city planner, if we had one, should start to think about. You know, when you have a subdivision of a parcel and it creates a population growth due to the building lots, there was always a set aside of open space that provided the passive recreation opportunities. And with all the development of condos, apartments, and PDD style development of residential, where there's no set aside requirements, we are slowly growing our population and not preparing for the passive recreational needs, never mind active recreational needs of that population. So I think that's something that planning and zoning should start to consider on how to prepare for. But that's kind of a personal commentary. Teresa, the open space trust account, I don't know that there's been any deposits into it because we haven't had any fee in lieu of land dedications to be deposited into it. And then in terms of any quality of life, I don't have anything to report. I am at times in conversation with people who have properties in town that would be desired to be preserved in their current state rather than developed, but there's certainly nothing right now to report. The only thing I will say in that regard, and I think I might have shared it with everybody on an email, but there is a property down near the Farm Mill River and Farm Mill Crossing. It is currently occupied by, I think, Sikorsky as a tenant, but it was owned or is owned by United Healthcare. And they've had a foreclosure on the property. And there's a significant natural acreage that goes up that property and connects with the Wellses, the formerly owned by Wellses, now the city of Shelton, the Bear Plain farm that we walked on last year. I forget off the top of my head how much acreage it is. I can look and find out pretty quickly while we're talking. But it was the first PDD in Shelton. And it is an acreage of 69 acres.
I was going to say 70 or 80. I mean,
Yeah.
it's big.
Yeah, so it's owned by HN Property Owner LLC. That's HealthNet. And there was a filing on the land records to foreclose on that. And it was just kind of interesting reading for me to read the deeds because that property's mortgage was sliced and diced and bundled with several other mortgages. And if you want to read, like I think it's called The Big Short is the movie to show how that created problems in the financing of mortgages industry. Basically, what they would do is say, hey, rather than just give property A a mortgage, why don't we bundle a whole bunch of properties together and we'll have some from the Carolinas, some from New England, some from the Midwest, and it evens out or balances out the economic changes or impacts from weather, like a hurricane along the coast or something. And so that bundle, you can buy a share of that mortgage. And the way they started to slice and dice that, it became very hard to figure out, gee, which property are we even having a mortgage on anymore? Um, and when you read the mortgage documents on the land records, that is exactly what was happening with this parcel. Whether that's the cause of it or not, coming to its current foreclosure, I have no idea. But from a conservation perspective, it's a 68.78 acre parcel in our Farmville River Greenway corridor that, while it has the development on it of the PDD, which was Cheeseboro Ponds way back in the day, it is largely a natural vacant property. So something for us to be aware of.
Is Sikorsky not utilizing as the tenant? Or
So my brother did when he was in high school, he did a DECA program in Shelton High, and they met at the Cheeseboro Ponds facility. And there is a walking path around the wooded area. It was very nicely landscaped back in its day, where you'd reach exercise station, do a couple push-ups or pull-ups, and then move on to the next station. So the property is well landscaped where the structure and all is, but the northern portion of the property that goes up towards the Wells property there, the former Wells property on Old Mill Road, it does abut that directly. That's all natural. It's a little bit steep at points. I used to walk down there to go fishing down on Farm Mill River, and I can
right?
tell you there is a what do they call it when the sand quicksand. There's a quicksand area down there near the Farm Mill River there that a friend of mine went in up to his waist and he got really scared. But anyway, memories of our high school youth.
And Tarzan movies.
Yeah. So it's a potentially potent property for conservation to be aware of. That's all I have. So I think we're down to comments by members. So I think I started off telling you that I'm furthering my investigation of retiring to Ireland. So it's an exciting trail. But I can share this with you because my sister won't see this. Uh, on the farm homestead where my father grew up, there is a post to his workshop that he created when he left school at age 13 and started building wheelbarrows for the farmers and that kind of stuff. And he carved his name into the post. And so it has kind of a sentimental attachment for us. And there was a tropical storm over there this past spring where the roof of that shed got damaged and the post was now exposed. And so I've had that post set off to the side. And my idea for a Christmas gift for my sister is to bring that post back home in my ski bag on this trip.
Aw.
Let me tell you, investigating how to import a product of timber is
Forget
a
it.
journey.
Like
I'm
even
like,
across states.
oh my God, it's just a piece of oak that was on a house probably for 100+ years, but
Screw some bindings into it.
There you go. There you go.
Well, here's the interesting thing is that not too far from the farm, there is a sawmill called the Drenna Sawmills. And they have the ability to treat lumber. They also have a timber logging company, and then they make pallets for shipping across the EU and stuff. So they have a kiln and an ability to pressure treat for logs and posts and stuff. So I've been in touch with them, and then I have found the regulations that I actually do not have to have it treated, but I am going to have them treat it to the European standard. And then I'm meeting with the equivalent of the USDA over in Northern Ireland, because I'm going from Northern Ireland into Ireland and departing from Dublin. And so I need to have some paperwork that allows me to export it from Northern Ireland into the EU and beyond. So it's been an interesting journey, especially given a 5-hour time difference, to try and accomplish this. But it looks like it's going to be accomplished. And the interesting thing about the sawmill, the name of the sawmill, the Drenna sawmill, it is an offshoot of the McCausland clan, the family that the king had granted all of that land in the area to. And we gained ownership of our farm through land reform from the McCauslands. So I'm
Okay.
bringing the post from our farm back to the people in a way that used to own all those lands to have it treated so I can bring it to America. So,
Cool.
so it's been that's the kind of adventures I've been doing over the past many weeks.
Cool.
So, Teresa, what do you got?
Not much. I'm working on the Appalachian Trail in Maine. I've been up there twice in the last month and got one more trip to go, and then I'm gonna hopefully be finishing up the Appalachian Trail in Maine. And the part I have left to do is the 100-mile wilderness.
Ah,
Hmm.
good for you.
Wow. Wow.
Hats
It's a
off
hard-
to you.
It's not it's not as bad as it sounds, because you can actually the reason they would always have warnings and everything on the 100-mile wilderness is for the through hikers. There's no town or stores for 100 miles where they can resupply, but there are a few logging roads where you can drive a car, especially if you have an SUV, and access the trail. And you can even the through hikers now can arrange to have food drops halfway through the 100-mile wilderness.
Hmm.
So they don't have to carry 100 miles worth of food anymore. But still, it's a
Come on,
good
Teresa, do it old school. Do it old school.
no.
Congrats.
Tricks are for kids and silly rabbits.
Mm.
Well, show him your bruise on your shin. For God's sake. That was awful.
I don't know how to do that on here.
That's true. Not easy.
Where'd you get a bruise from?
I slipped on some rocks it was a rainy day, and I slipped on a rock and fell on my shin like you do. And I got a bruise about like that big on my
Wow.
shin. Yeah.
Very purple.
Mm.
And the shin's tender. There's not a lot of flesh
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Sherry, what do you have to offer with comments?
Well, it was a busy summer, lots of mowing the lawn. Impressed. I'm taking care of everything by myself. I'm really impressed. I've done a lot of things that I'm happy about, in regards to the farm, just fixing things that are broken. And I have all the power because, my mom's still alive, of course, but yeah, if I look at something and I need it, I'm like you were saying with retirement to Ireland, I call a guy or I ask somebody, and yeah, it's been an interesting summer. But and then I did have I met somebody today who's the state of Connecticut entomologist. She was talking a lot about these red lantern flies, which was really interesting. She mentioned about the tree of heaven, and like Teresa said, it's probably going to go ebb and flow, where there's going to be some years they're bad. Is it affecting the farm at all, Tom?
So it's been around for more than this year.
Correct.
The population has grown this year by observation compared to last. The Connecticut Agricultural Experimentation Station did have some bags around the farm to try and attract and slash capture to identify a population size. There was actually one at the end of Walnut Tree Hill Road by Route 110 for a while last year. So the population is here. It's not damaging this year, but we'll see how it goes next year. My understanding is that areas like along I-95 where they would, hitch a ride on vehicles pretty readily from areas that were already infested, the population there is quite greater.
Yeah, it seems like I've seen maybe 5 on my property at work. There's so many, it's crazy. Like I got out of my car to kill one and another one popped. When having curly hair, I thought it was jumped in my hair. They jump,
Yeah, they just
like
jump on you.
they'll just jump and it freaks me out. So I just go in the building.
I mean, personally, I saw my first one last week.
Oh, wow.
And I'm right there
Last year I
every
had a few
day.
on.
Now we'll see how it goes.
Wow.
The population, like Jim was referencing earlier, like gypsy moths. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was putting,
Yeah.
grease around the base of every tree, and now they're not as much an issue. So,
And I also have to say for trails, Teresa and Bill, I have not walked the Mayflower since the beginning of the summer. So I'm going to do that now that it's fall and a little less. Like you said, with the drought, everything's not as green, and trying not to be afraid of ticks, but I'm getting a little like watching how much I go out into nature with the ticks.
Just spray your clothing with permethrin and you'll be fine.
Yeah, actually, I do that. Thank you. And I'm afraid to talk about it. Knock on wood.
Bill Dyer, what do you have to offer?
Really, I'm enjoying the conversation with that, and yeah, I've had my speech, so I'm all set.
Tom Wilson.
Well, if I look to my right, I'm then looking at all these faces of Ireland and Dublin pubs in my basement there. It's good luck with that. Teresa, I've been camping, but it's been a summer of music festivals for me, camping at bluegrass festivals from Colorado to Vermont. So, and a few places in between. So it's been a good summer for my family. That's about it.
Well, if you're interested in more music and local, Tom, on Sunday the 21st of September, which will be the second day that we are open for pumpkin season, we're going to have a little music festival in the afternoon at our Pumpkin Seed Hill Farm. Gentleman who is a great performer. He did one in the summertime. So
I'll actually be in Sherborne, Vermont, watching Alison Krauss that day. But
oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah.
I've seen her.
So, but I've always wanted to try to throw something together for up at the farm. It's been one of my little bucket list ideas for you guys.
Well, I haven't kind of pulled the trigger to buy a ticket, but this weekend in Hartford, there's Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, and Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
And those are 3 performers that are probably not going to be around forever. So half of mine to maybe go see them, but we'll see. Lisa.
Well, I guess I went on a trip to Norway, Lofoten Islands, and was hiking up there. It was absolutely beautiful. I have to say, they do minimal trail maintenance. They're very like, this trail has been here hundreds of years. Why change it? And they have no switchbacks. If you're going up a mountain, you just go straight up and straight down.
That's like the Appalachian Trail in New England.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. So it was interesting, but absolutely beautiful. Some parts were really hard, just a lot of climbing over boulders and exposure. 24 hours of daylight was also interesting because you could wake up at like 2 a.m. and it's like 11. It looks like it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I had to like close my shade like maybe an hour before I was actually going to go to bed. I had to be like conscious about it because you could just keep going. It's pretty wild. But yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. I recommend it.
Was the food good?
Yeah, they have a lot of
Fish.
they have some fish, yeah, but they also do a lot of like lamb. I had a lot of lamb for some reason because they just have a lot of it there, or reindeer, or
My sister-in-law went there, and when she came home, the first thing she said, it took her a few days, and all of a sudden she realized her like their potatoes really taste like the way we remember potatoes, or their carrots, like, you know, how we have the GMO food, which I think we're getting used to tasting. So I don't really, but as soon as she started talking about the food quality was delicious, that's when I was like, oh, we're getting so used to our food.
Yeah, it's probably, they probably treat it, they don't treat food like chemicals and everything over there. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't really investigate that too much, but you're right. Like it is a different
I mean,
quality.
our country's huge compared to theirs. You know, we're feeding much more people, but
Mhm.
I just was curious if that was something you noticed.
I'll say, Sherry, when I'm over in Ireland and if I have any meat, beef products or dairy products, the fact that it's grass-fed makes a big difference. A lot
Yeah,
of our, livestock is corn-fed, and that does make a difference. I
yeah,
also say the root vegetables, of course, it depends on the kind of soils that you're growing it in, but they don't tend to augment things, like they don't put like a sauce on it or something, or a hot spice. It's the carrot. It's been
right.
softened by a boil or something, or it's a potato softened, but the root vegetables are not augmented as much. So, uh, Jim, last but not
Hmm.
least.
Where do I start? Uh,
Oh,
well, we'll just say that I've been probably all over the East Coast visiting family, my sons or whatever, and we had a new addition at the end of July. I have a little granddaughter,
No.
Jubilee.
congratulations.
Yeah, Jubilee to my youngest son. That's his first. Uh, but yeah, and I just got back from New York State Fair actually yesterday, and they had a big exhibit there on the lantern fly and how you're supposed to post things and what to look out for, etc. But what was more interesting is I visited my alma mater, which was the College of ES&F up there, Environmental Science and Forestry. And the young people there were talking about snail populations and just very off, you know, I think very strange things that they're focusing on now, and very micro cultures of different aspects of things. I mean, I found out there's one snail at Shenango Falls. It's the only one in the world. It's the only place you'll find this one snail, and it's at a falls in New York State. Uh, and it's fascinating, and that's what a lot of these forest biologists are finding, that we have many, many rare populations around, and we need to preserve them. So interesting. What else? I don't know. I've been south to South Carolina, and maybe the hottest time I've ever been down south. I don't recommend going south. I don't ever recommend going there in July or August ever.
Right.
And I don't know how people survive that, frankly. So thank everybody for a nice fall weather, because when it's not that humidity in the south is rough to take. It is. Anyway, and that's about it, I guess, for now. No, hope to see
I
everybody.
do have to say thank you to everyone, because my son Dimitri made first
Yeah,
lieutenant, I mean, excuse me, lieutenant
congratulations.
colonel. And Lisa, thank you so much because I don't have a hard copy of the article, so that was nice. Lisa stuck it in my mailbox.
You're welcome.
And Jim helped and Tom helped, and I just appreciate it all. Bill, yeah, all your well wishes to him.
Sure.
Right.
That was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
Sorry.
a great event to see too, Sherry.
Yeah, there was like
Yeah.
110 people came, even the
Yeah.
mayor, alderman,
Yeah.
he, during his speech was choked up. It was very emotional for him to see that many people.
Good.
And
Good.
he persevered to get there too. So that was
Oh, true. Well said.
yeah. So well, good to see everybody's face again. Hopefully there'll be some more to come on our agenda that we can be considering of, but I haven't seen or heard of anything pending. So we'll take it as it comes. All
When
right.
do you leave, Tom?
I leave on Wednesday night, basically a week from today. It's an 11 o'clock flight. I never took an evening flight before, but my last trip, the evening flight was cheaper and worked better. That I could work the whole day at work and then go right to the airport.
We
And,
went on an evening flight, Tom. We went at 8 o'clock at
yeah,
night.
that's not 8 o'clock's not 11 o'clock, So.
Oh my God, picky. Come on. Anyway,
Sure.
all right, good to see you
But-
all. I'm gonna sign off.
Okay. See